couple weeks ago, we started to look at all the issues in these masonry walls. When I took the plaster off this brick, I noticed these cracks. Look at all that. All that is brick that's supposed to be structural and is powder. That doesn't look good at all. And huge thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video and helping finance this renovation, but more on them later. So the test today is just to uncover more. I just want to see all the brick. I want to see the extent of damage. This will help with formulating a plan. So there's a little bit here. I might get rid of the plaster here too to see how the brick is. And we got a ceiling downstairs to take down. Look at this little piece of brick, holding on for dear life. That's what's holding up the house. And in this cavity, there's just years and years worth of brick dust, and the wood's deteriorating, and the structure's just turning to dust in here. You definitely have a lot of these soft bricks in here. This is where all that brick powder is coming from. And there's a chance that some of these could be replaced if the width of brick on the other side of this brick is okay. Maybe we can just remove the damage. This one might be the worst. Look at this brick that's just holding on for dear life. Just kind of like the consistency of a little bit of flour and water. Not a whole lot there. So maybe if the other width is taking a lot of the load, this could be removed and a new brick could go in, but I'm really not sure. So I've been talking with the engineer and we have a few options here. Option A is the original idea of trying to just patch whatever we can, solidify the brick, and call it a day. If the damage is too severe, it's option B, which is take all the brick down to this windowsill. So all the brick up on the third floor would have to come down, and then down to the sill, and then we'd do a bond beam, which is essentially just CMU concrete masonry units filled with concrete, and then you can put J-bolts into that, and you could also do rebar down into the brick to tie it all in, and then do wood construction up. And again, remember that the load from the ridge beam is coming down right about here, and that's what we're really worried about because it's pretty large load. I think it's like 5,000 pounds or something, and it needs to land on something solid. So whether that's fixed up brick or wood, we will see. Hold on, this is editing Chris now. I always hate trying to explain something with words that's better shown with visuals, and I went through 6 years of architecture school to pick up communication skills, so I might as well do some drawings to try to articulate what I'm talking about. We've done a lot of 3D visualizations, but let's go old school and do some 2D graphics here. So we're looking at a section cut of the building. You know, like those Instagram reels of someone making a cool sandwich and cutting it down the middle and then opening it so you can see the cross section. It's like that, but with the building. This is showing the existing conditions of the house. On the right, you can see a key plan with the section marker. We are basically looking at the back of the front brick section of the house. There was a brick wall that spanned the third floor, and this picked up the roof rafters and then distributed that load through the brick down to the foundation. Because I'm adding a third floor addition, I had to remove this portion of brick. Now we're looking at a longitudinal section through the length of the house. On the left side is the front of the house and the existing portion of roof, and on the right is the new third floor addition. Both of these roofs have rafters that come up and meet at the ridge, and there's a ridge beam that distributes the loads on either side. Now back to the other section, but now let's look at the new conditions. First, we have the ridge beam. On one side, it goes down to a column and the load goes into the party wall. On the other side, the ridge beam is bearing on what's left of that original brick wall. Now, if we trace the load path straight down, you can see that this existing window falls directly within that. So we need to make sure we fill this window well because it's going to be getting a lot of load. I'm up on the third floor, right above where this window header is, and I was poking around and I figured something out. So I pulled out a few of these bricks that were just not doing anything, and it's pretty terrifying because it's literally just the exterior width of brick. There's pretty much nothing in there, right? So this face of the brick here doesn't really have anything to support, but it's tied in, as you can see, by rows of brick that are spanning both widths. And what happened here, I was really confused by this gap because the brick overlaps with the joist, but I realized all these bricks were in here like kind of like a window header. They're vertical, and I have a full brick. You can see how much these have deteriorated. So instead of running like this, where they overlap with the joist, they run like this when they're next to the joist. So it's something about the orientation of these bricks and maybe the fact that they can't dry out as well because they're right next to a joist that seems to have caused them to deteriorate. But I think I might be crazy, but I think that we can resolve this with kind of our original plan of just putting some rebar in there and pouring concrete to fill in that side, and then we can patch above and we can patch below to tie it all together. A big learning experience in this project is dealing with these challenging existing conditions and really unclear solutions. And it's really the difference between architecture, just drawing on a piece of paper, and translating that into the real world where you have to deal with things like bricks that have been crumbling. But luckily we were able to get the concrete in, remove the old deteriorated header, and the mason came to brick up this window. So we got the concrete poured in here. And if you know anything about construction, you might be worried about the concrete interacting with the brick. Problems can arise with thermal expansion. Brick has relatively stable conditions in changing temperatures, but concrete will expand and contract when it gets hot and cold. So the issue you can have is that the concrete is moving, but the brick isn't. And the concrete could actually like crack the brick or push it out and cause some issues. And I considered this for a while. I actually did the calculations. The concrete will move 1/1,000,000th per degree Celsius. So I did the calculation of, okay, we're pouring it in like 35-degree weather, and then eventually it's all gonna be enclosed and it's gonna be at like 70 degrees. And the movement is really pretty minimal. And this is such a small piece of concrete. It's like 3 inches wide by maybe 8 inches deep and 3 foot long. Usually you have to really consider this when you're pouring a concrete slab, because the longer the slab is, the more it's going to expand, and that's why you need expansion joints and control joints and stuff. But here, I don't think it's going to be an issue. And especially when you factor in that all this is going to be enclosed in interior space. On the other side of this is going to be a bathroom. So the temperature is going to remain relatively stable through the rest of this concrete's life. And currently this brick is getting moisture because it's an exterior wall, but it's going to become an interior wall. So we're also not going to have moisture issues. Another thing to note, I got this thin plastic. This is essentially to just create a barrier between the wood joist that's on one side of this concrete and the concrete itself. This might not even be necessary, again, because this concrete won't be getting water, but I think it's still good practice to not have concrete directly touching wood. All this can be cut back once the concrete has cured. Let's take a break from the house to talk about today's sponsor, Squarespace. So I've personally used Squarespace for nearly a decade now. Just last year, I did an overhaul of my website, and I want to show some of the features that I really love that Squarespace provides. To start, I reorganized my whole online shop, and I love that when you create products on Squarespace, you can add tags and categories to neatly organize all your products and make them way more explorable. I also started to take advantage of Squarespace's ability to take reviews from customers. It's a super easy automated process where a customer gets an email around 10 days after they order the product, and they can leave an honest review. And it's a great way to build credibility as an online retailer. So when you're ready to start your first website or get a domain, go to squarespace.com/Chris Hytha and use code Chris Hytha to get a 10% discount on your first website. Thanks again to Squarespace, and let's get back to the house. Next order of business. We also talked about the cracking on this wall. This is what supports the cantilever joist over into the alley. There's cracks on that side. We don't know if there's a bunch of cracks. I did talk to the engineer about this as well, and he wasn't all that concerned actually with like some hairline cracks. If it's pervasive across the whole wall, we might have an issue. Might have to put some steel in or something. Let's see. Let's see what state it's in. Let's get all the plaster off and all the sealing off here too, just to see what's happening with this connection here. The birds are chirping out there. It's like 45 degrees. The cold snap is over for now. The nights are still like 25, 27, so still gotta wait for like a 35-degree night for the big concrete pour. But this is lovely. I feel like I'm standing outside right now, hearing the birds and everything. Anyway, back to the task at hand. Plaster's off. It seems like the cracking that you can see over here is only on the backside and the front side. Generally, this is good news. You know, it doesn't look like this whole wall is gonna need to be redone or reinforced with steel. The wall itself is fine. Good morning. We're back for another day of work, and I got, I don't know, close to half of the ceiling done yesterday. So I got to wrap that up. And the other exciting news is that the framers are going to be back. They've kind of been off the job since 2 weeks ago, but now that I resolved that permitting issue, they're going to come back. They're doing stuff in the basement. Let me show you what they're going to be working on. Down here, I marked out the 2 areas of thickened slab that are for columns. I just used a brick, kind of like chalk, to do this. So right here is going to be a column that comes up, and then there's another section to dig out right here for a little wall section, just little structural things that need to go in. So they need to chip up this concrete and dig down the soil to a foot deep and then set some rebar. And that's one piece of the concrete that needs to be inspected. The other is going to be the foundation wall. And for that, we need to tear down the whole roof and the middle section of the house. So I'm still kind of waiting for better weather. Now we've got to keep going on this ceiling. So first step is to get all this stuff out of the way. It's also a good time to add a little bit of protection to this railing because this plaster's going to be coming down right on top of it. So just a little bit of something. Finally now, we can get to work. currently 8 a.m. the next day. My camera battery died, so I couldn't film taking down the rest of the ceiling, but you know what that looks like. Usually I'm pretty good at keeping batteries charged, but no one's perfect. So right now I'm just taking out all the little nails left in the lath. I also took the nails out of the lath that I took down to save. Yeah, I'm trying to collect as many of these old nails as I can because I think they'll look really cool. I don't know, arranged in circles or just all laid out. And I just want like a big kind of framed shadow box type deal with a bunch of old nails in it. So so I'm just filling the floor with nails right now, then I'll sweep them up and collect them all. It's a pretty good haul. I already got this whole box full of a variety of nails. These will add to my collection nicely. That was a whole lot of nails to pick up. Unfortunately, I'll probably have to wait a while till I do anything with these, but you know, I'm gonna keep them around, and they're gonna be something cool one day, I swear. Some quick notes now that the ceiling's down. For one, I realized there is right there another fully overlapping joist. So these ones are coming through and cantilevering over the alley, but there's one from the neighbor coming all the way to my brick wall. There's one right there and one on the end. So it looks like there's 3 that lap entirely, and then everything in between is cantilevering. Good news, over here, when I was taking off the plaster, no brick dust. No brick dust coming out of here. So that's great because it means my facade is in better shape than that wall over there when I was taking off the plaster. So, good news. Other notes, I'm wondering what these little circular holes were. Nothing was in there. Currently, like the radiators from the front came up that way, and the radiators from the back were over there. So they weren't radiator pipes. I'm not sure what else they would be. If you have any ideas, let me know. Some more thoughts. These old joists are so beautiful, and I was looking with my level. They really haven't deflected much at all. This is why I didn't want to just tear down the whole house. A lot of people have been saying like, oh, is it cheaper or better just to demolish the whole thing and start from scratch? This doesn't need to be demolished. This is beautiful old growth lumber that has been here for 175 years, hasn't sagged or deflected, and looks incredible. And now that I have it open, I really want to expose a lot of this, ideally, maybe just a patch of drywall for lights and stuff in line with the fireplace. I don't know, I need to design it, but this looks incredible. It just celebrates the age of the house. And along this same train of thought, the kitchen joists over here, those are the joists I wanted to expose. But now that I'm looking at them closely, they kind of suck. There's some issues over there, so I very well might replace those with new joists and kind of expose them here instead. Big benefit of exposed joists is the ceiling here is 8'6". By exposing them, the ceiling now feels like it's 9 foot tall, which is really cool. Downside is sound insulation. There's a bedroom right above here, and if I just keep it like this, there's a lot of sound transfer. The floor is like a solid inch thick, so it helps. So maybe a middle ground. I don't know if I'd want to do this. I'll probably live with it for a bit and see, but I could do like 3 inches of like a soundproofing insulation, and then I could use some salvage cedar siding and kind of recreate the look of the floorboards coming across. So then you get insulation, but you have the exposed ceiling, and the ceiling would come down a little bit, like 3-4 inches. So we'll see. I would love to get everyone's opinion on the vestibule. Now that the ceiling's exposed, I just really kind of want to get rid of it, I guess. I don't know, it'd just be nice to see the joist there too. One reason, this is all termite damaged. This trim, it's just the paint holding it together. And over here is all termite damage. So I don't know. Let me know. Let me know what you think of this vestibule. Maybe I'll take it out. I've got something real exciting to show you in the backyard. Come on, come on. Oh boy, what could it be? What could it be under the tarp? It's like Christmas morning. Get all these bricks out of here. All right, big reveal. Whoa! Check it out. Wow. It's just more bricks, plaster, and a lot of dirt. And it's gonna cost $700 to get rid of. Dang. So where'd all that dirt and rubble come from, you might ask? Well, here it is. This is where it came from. It came from my basement. The framing crew came back and started digging, and I had the lovely job of carrying the buckets out through a little hole, and there were a lot of buckets. It makes my back hurt just looking at this. And this isn't the same clip over and over. This is just doing the same thing over and over with a bunch of different buckets of dirt. Fun stuff. We also made good progress prepping this back foundation wall for the new concrete. We had to remove all of the brick that is above the rubble stone foundation, and next week we're going to do the same thing for the longer north end of the foundation. It's been raining all night, and I hate the rain because I still have these old cast iron pipes that are cracked. I've been doing just the worst job at trying to slow the leak. It's like covered in duct tape and flex seal tape and sealant, and no surprise that hasn't really worked. Maybe it slows it down, but got a couple big buckets of water here. Ay, ay, ay. It's really not draining well either. Just gotta poke around at the drain. There we go. All right, now for the big bucket. Oh, God. I really hope all my salvage wood doesn't just get moldy down here because of all the moisture. We'll see. Now let's take a look at a little bit of the progress. We have this 2 foot by 2 foot footer, goes down a foot under the slab, and we uncovered this random pipe. I don't know. I don't know what this could be. Maybe it's an old gas line from gas lighting. The whole house might have had gas pipes for lighting that have since been discontinued, so it's probably not in use, but we might just keep it there for now. I don't know. Going deeper into the basement here. This is our second hole, also a foot deep. Not quite as big as the first one. Oh yeah, and by the way, that one's for a column that goes up to the first floor and then another column on the first floor holding the framing. And that's just so we don't have to have a beam going across the staircase on the first floor because you'd hit your head on it. So we need that column. And this is just because we're cutting some joists and whatever, forget about that. In the back here, there used to be bricks all above the foundation wall that we took down. Now you can just see the rubble stone foundation, and this is basically what we're pouring the concrete onto. So all this had to be cleared off. And this whole other foundation wall, if we go over here, you can see right here that this is the rubble stone, and then there's brick. So all along the foundation, we have a lot more brick to get out of here, because that's basically where the concrete's going to be going. So that's going to be happening next week. I'm currently editing this video you're watching. For me, this video is last week, and I'm in this week, and boy, this week is crazy. I'm really excited to put together the video of what I'm doing currently. It's crazy. It's cool. But I just want to take a second to explain my workflow here. It's Tuesday. I just got back from a whole day of work. My body is sore and aching, and now I have to spend my night editing the video from last week's work. So it's just a whole lot of work to put this together. So if you're enjoying the series, I would greatly appreciate it if you left a like on the video, subscribe if you're liking the content and want to follow along. And I also have to keep up with my actual business that's financing this. I don't work a 9-to-5 job, which is great because I can be on site all day. But right now, my main income is through book sales of the High Rises book and art prints and everything that I sell on my website. So also, if you want to support the project, you can look at my website. I have some great stuff to hang on your walls or a great photo book for your coffee table. I'm going to leave you with that this week. And again, I promise you, next week's video is going to be awesome, and definitely watch it because we're tearing the house down.